At the bachelor party, Oscar's close friend asked him, "Oscar, you're marrying my sister-in-law in half a month, and the woman you're keeping outside is pregnant too. How does that feel?" Oscar's expression was satisfied and smug. "It feels pretty good. You and my sister-in-law have known each other for 10 years. Aren't you afraid she'll find out and break up with you?" He was full of confidence. As long as this kind of thing is hidden well, Emma will never find out in her entire life. His friends burst into laughter. "Oscar, you're awesome. A loyal wife at home, a lover outside. How many men's dream is that?" I stood behind the door and heard everything. It turned out that the boy who once said he would love me for the rest of his life had already become unrecognizable. So I also prepared to hide something from him. On the day of the wedding, I prepared a grand gift for him. Chapter 1. Oscar and I were getting married in half a month. Tonight was his bachelor party. The first snow was falling outside the window. I called his driver. "Nestor, it's snowing outside. Come pick up a down jacket and take it to Oscar." Nestor arrived very quickly. He stood at the villa entrance, looking somewhat conflicted. "Emma, it's still early. Why don't you deliver it yourself?" Nestor had been Oscar's driver for several years and had always been very professional. "If Sir sees that you personally brought it over, he'll definitely be touched." I thought for a moment, then took the jacket and got into the car with Nestor. Tonight, Oscar was having a rare gathering with a few of his close friends. I knew all of them. Some were partners he had met while starting his business, and a few were our college classmates. Originally, I only intended to drop off the jacket, remind him of a few things, and leave. But just as I approached Oscar's private room, the voices inside made my hand pause on the door. Come on, let me interview you. You're getting married in half a month, and the woman you're keeping outside is pregnant too. Oscar, how do you feel right now?" My heart skipped violently for a moment. I thought I had misheard, but through the gap in the door, I clearly saw Oscar pick up the wineglass on the table. His tone was satisfied and smug. "It feels pretty good." As soon as he finished speaking, the private room burst into loud laughter. "Awesome! As expected of Oscar, your career is thriving, your wife at home stays steady, and your lover outside is flourishing. That's the dream of countless men. Who among us can compare to Oscar? He's an idol." Sam, who was sitting in the corner, smiled meaningfully. "Your wedding is coming up, so you still need to be careful. If my sister-in-law finds out, things will get troublesome." Oscar spoke with full confidence. As long as this kind of thing is hidden well, Emma will never know in her entire life. Hearing him say that, the people around him immediately became bolder. That's right. With Oscar's status and wealth, sleeping with only one woman for life would be such a loss. Besides, Nicole willingly followed Oscar herself. It's not like Oscar forced her. A woman throwing herself at you is free for the taking. Speaking of Nicole, she's not here yet. Get someone to hurry her up. Nicole? Chapter 2. Hearing that familiar name, my heart trembled violently. Before long, from the far end of the long corridor, the sound of high heels approached step by step, and a familiar face appeared before my eyes. I stepped behind the pillar beside me and watched as the junior I had supported all the way opened the door just like that. Then, she threw herself into my fiancé's arms. He naturally wrapped his arm around her waist and protected her belly. His movements were natural and practiced, and his eyes were filled with surprise. "It's snowing. Why didn't you stay at home?" She spoke playfully. "I wanted to give you a surprise. Are you happy?" He wrapped his arm around her waist and kissed her lips. Happy. Everyone present watched the two of them kiss as if it were nothing unusual. Oscar even said considerately, "Take the wine away. Nicole is pregnant and can't stand the smell of alcohol." His friends started teasing. "Nicole, our Oscar really dotes on you. He practically wants to hold you in the palm of his hand." I could hardly breathe. This kind of phrasing was so familiar to me that it could not have been more familiar. When I accompanied Oscar to dinner gatherings, his friends would say the same thing. "Sister-in-law, you're so lucky. Oscar treats you so well." At that time, Oscar would hold my waist and speak slowly. "I'm the lucky one, to be able to marry Emma." Meeting Oscar's gentle, affectionate eyes, I had believed his words without question. Smiling, I told his friends that Oscar and I had loved each other since we were young, that we had known and promised ourselves to each other for over 10 years, and that we would definitely grow old together. It turned out that what I had always been proud of had been a joke in others' eyes from beginning to end. On the surface, they envied me. In private, who knew how many times they had laughed at me? A huge sense of humiliation instantly invaded every inch of my body. I dug my nails into my palms to stop myself from exploding. Oscar really treats me well. It's all my fault for being unlucky and meeting Oscar too late. I don't think I'm any worse than Emma. If I had met Oscar 2 years earlier, maybe the bride half a month from now would be me. What do you think, Oscar? As soon as she finished speaking, the private room went quiet for a moment. After a while, the man gave a soft laugh. Baby, have you heard the saying? The best way to become a general's wife is to marry him while he is still a soldier. Emma knew me when we were teenagers. During the 6 years of starting my business, she walked with me all the way. What do you have to compare with her? You'd better behave and properly take care of the child in your belly. Don't think about things you shouldn't. And don't you dare let even half a word slip in front of Emma. Nicole's face changed abruptly. The private room fell silent under Oscar's warning. The group of friends tried to smooth things over. Oscar, don't be angry. Nicole understands everything. Sister-in-law won't know. The girl's voice carried a sob. Oscar, I'm sorry. I shouldn't compare myself to Emma. You said last time that Emma's family of origin wasn't good. So she must really lack love. Even if she finds out, she won't be able to leave you. So don't hold it against me. My eyes reddened, and the hand gripping the doorknob could not stop trembling. Oscar only frowned. This had better not happen again. The words sounded like a reprimand, but his tone was gentle and helpless. No one is allowed to tell Emma. Emma once said that if I ever changed my heart, she would never see me again for the rest of her life. I can't live without her. The moment those words came out, all my previous illusions collapsed with a crash. If I had still been willing to deceive myself about everything before, then this was something he would never use as a joke. That was during the most difficult time of our startup. I accompanied him running through market after market until I was so exhausted that I ended up in the hospital. In the hospital, while eating the food he had made for me, I sulkily said, Oscar, I've sacrificed so much for you. If you ever change your heart, I'll break your legs, take all your money, and never see you again for the rest of my life. Back then, his eyes were full of tenderness and pity as he promised me, Don't worry, Emma, I will never change my heart. Then swear it. All right, I swear. If I ever change my heart, let me be penniless for the rest of my life, lose my legs, and never see you again. The words he had promised seemed to still echo beside my ears. Yet the person before me had long since become unrecognizable without my knowledge. Chapter 3. I held back my nausea and staggered downstairs. Outside, snowflakes were swirling through the air, and for a moment, countless scenes from the past seemed to fall along with them. Emma, no matter what happens, I'll face it with you. You are my Emma alone. When we've saved enough money, we'll hold a wedding of the century and let the whole world witness our love. Emma, you gave up your dream to start a business with me. I will never let you down. Emma, I drank too much today. Thank goodness you were with me. Emma, Emma. In an instant, everything shattered and scattered, carried away by the howling wind. It vanished into the snow filling the sky. Replacing it was the scene from the private room just now, him holding her waist and kissing her as if no one else were there. A massive sense of betrayal swept over me. My stomach churned as if the sea were overturning inside it. My hands and feet went weak. My head spun, and the heel of my shoe caught on the threshold. My whole body fell into the snow. Nestor hurriedly got out of the car, his face full of panic. Emma, are you all right? I looked at Nestor, and only at that moment did I finally understand the deeper meaning behind his earlier suggestion that I deliver the coat myself. He had probably known long ago. Holding back my tears, I asked him, how long have they been together? Nestor avoided my gaze. Miss Emma, I have 2 children at home. I can't afford to lose this job. I stood up and did not ask any further. I only said, thank you, Nestor. I want to walk alone for a while. You can go back first. Inside the building behind me, my lover was being intimate with someone else, while I walked for a very long time through the endless heavy snow, silently recalling the 10 years he had mentioned. The year I graduated from university. I had originally had the chance to study abroad on a government-funded scholarship, but for the sake of his entrepreneurial dream, I gave it up. My advisor had scolded me in bitter disappointment. If you regret this, don't come looking for me. Chapter 4. Back then, I regarded Oscar as the only salvation in my life and stubbornly believed that I would never regret it. In the beginning, we did not have enough funds and could only live frugally. During the hardest times, we lived in a basement room that was cold and damp. In winter, we could not bear to turn on the electric heater, so the two of us slept in the same bed, holding each other for warmth. When it rained, water seeped in, and the place turned into a swimming pool, soaking and ruining my shoes. He looked at me with guilt, and I smiled as I comforted him. Don't be sad. Look, there's water everywhere. Let's just pretend we're in the Maldives. Back then, he held me and promised me in an almost solemn tone, Emma, we will definitely have a beautiful future. When we have money, I'll take you to the real Maldives. I won't let you down. At that time, I always believed him. I believed he would succeed. When the company had just started, I worked in his company as a secretary, assistant, purchaser, anything that needed to be done. I did it. I accompanied him to business dinners all the way, and countless people witnessed the years we spent struggling together. Riding the wave of the internet boom, the company grew bigger and bigger. Just as we had hoped, there were more and more people, and the division of work became more and more refined. A few years ago, during our alma mater's centennial celebration, we donated a large sum to the university, to prove that my choice had not been wrong. I went to visit my advisor, but he still refused to see me. I returned with regret, only to turn around and see the new secretary Oscar had hired. She was very beautiful, looking at him with bright, sparkling eyes. After a man succeeds, it is inevitable that he will attract admirers. I became wary, so I found an opportunity to replace her with my junior, Nicole. Nicole was a poor student sponsored by our foundation. I had always supported her, and she had always lived up to expectations. But it was precisely these two people I trusted most who betrayed me together. How could I not hate them? I hated Oscar for betraying his promise, and I hated Nicole for repaying kindness with betrayal. I hated them for hiding things from me and deceiving me like I was a fool. A group of people acted in front of me, making me look like a clown displayed in a shop window. At that moment just now, I wanted so badly to push open the door, rush in, and make a hysterical scene. But the second my hand gripped the doorknob, my mind instantly calmed down. If I charged in, all I would see was Oscar's panicked face. He would push all the blame onto Nicole, then beg me for forgiveness. He might even kneel and slap himself. He would pull me into reminiscing about the past, ask me to give him one more chance for the sake of our history, and then swear that he would change and start over. But now I already knew that his vows to repent were no different from a dog barking. The only result of my recklessness would be alerting them and losing any chance to escape. I needed to plan carefully. I needed to let them know that Emma's sincerity was not something so easily betrayed. Chapter 5. That night, Oscar came home very late. He was carrying a small gift box and said to me apologetically, "I'm sorry, Emma. I came back late. It's all Sam and the others' fault. They kept dragging me back and wouldn't let me leave." I could not help sneering inwardly. Was it really that others had stopped him from leaving? Or had he himself been so happy there that he had forgotten everything else? He did not notice anything unusual about me. He only raised the thing in his hand. "Look what I bought for you. A little cake?" He froze. "How did you know?" Back when our life was hard and I liked eating something sweet, he would buy this kind of little cake to coax me. Later, after our life improved, he still habitually bought cakes to coax me. Back then, I would pretend to be surprised and give him a way out. But now, I did not even want to pretend anymore. I took the small gift box from his hand and saw the receipt in the corner. "You bought 2 boxes of cake. Why did you only bring back 1? He answered without the slightest hesitation. "Oh, Sam was going the same way as me. He said he wanted to buy one for his wife, so I paid for it together." "Did his wife go buy it with you?" "No." I pushed the little cake I had opened in front of him. "Then why has someone taken a bite out of this one?" His hand, which had been taking off his coat, paused. The cake with a large chunk dug out of it was placed right in front of him. The huge gap looked as if it had been rooted through by a pig. That pig had also been wearing orange lipstick. which had smeared onto the edge of the cake like a silent provocation. I looked at him carefully. His expression showed panic for only an instant. Then he quickly calmed down. Maybe the waiter gave me the wrong one. I'll go change it for you tomorrow. I shook my head. Forget it. I've been cutting back on sugar lately. I don't want to eat it. I pointed at the red lipstick on the edge of the cake. But this lipstick shade looks pretty familiar. I bought one just like it last week. He let out a breath of relief, then smiled. Really? Why haven't I seen you use it? You probably won't get to see me use it. I gave it to Nicole. His grip on my hand tightened. After a long silence, he said, from now on, just use the things you buy yourself. Don't give them to other people. Nicole isn't an outsider. I've always treated Nicole like my own younger sister. When she was in school, I took care of her and sponsored her education. After she graduated, I arranged for her to join the company. I've treated both her and you as my family. If she betrays me, it's the same as you betraying me. Oscar, will you too betray me? This was the last chance I gave him. If he confessed to me at this moment, then we could still part on decent terms. There was not the slightest flaw in his expression. Of course not. Emma, are you overthinking things? I laughed to myself. With those words from you, I feel relieved. The stone in my heart finally settled. If he refused to admit it, then he could not blame me for taking things to the extreme. Seeing me smile for no apparent reason, he hugged me tightly, as if afraid I would disappear. Then his warm lips brushed across my neck. My body instantly stiffened, and I quickly turned my head to avoid him. I don't feel well today. He froze. Have you been too tired lately? Then he advised me, just leave the wedding arrangements to the people below. You don't need to do everything yourself. I pushed his hand lightly. All right, I know. Let's sleep early. Late at night, the person beside me quietly got up, took his phone, and went to the balcony. Although he lowered his voice, I could still hear the anger in it. The night was as deep as water. I closed my eyes and pretended I had heard nothing. Chapter 6. The next day, I made an appointment with the best lawyer in the industry. After listening to my description, the lawyer advised me, Emma, your and Mr. Oscar's company is about to go public. I don't recommend you completely fall out with him at this time. After all, the returns after the company goes public will be enormous. I've handled many similar cases. Many female employers ultimately chose to pretend they knew nothing. As long as you get married, those women will never have a legitimate position. Outside the window, speeding wheels rolled over the white snow, leaving behind a trail of mud. I looked at her and shook my head. There's no need, counselor. If I have to spend even more energy on this, then it really wouldn't be worth it. They don't deserve it. Besides, if you keep carrying trash, your hands won't be free to hold gifts. I'm not willing to waste my emotions and time on them. I understood better than anyone that an unhappy state was like a whirlpool, dragging people into an endless abyss. No amount of money mattered more than my own future. Besides, I was not short of money now. The shares and assets I currently hold are already enough to give me financial freedom. I already have more money than I could ever earn in this lifetime, so I won't consider any extra returns anymore. Right now, I have only one demand: liquidate quickly. I did not want the man anymore, but I had to get the assets that originally belonged to me. To be honest, I've booked a flight abroad in half a month. I want to cut off my equity holdings as quickly as possible. I paused and smiled meaningfully. Besides, whether the company can successfully go public is still uncertain. The lawyer froze for a moment, then smiled. Emma, I'm very happy to serve you. As for evidence of Mr. Oscar's affair, I'll have someone follow up on that. In 3 days, I'll draft an equity division agreement. Please rest assured. Thank you, counselor. After speaking with the lawyer, I quickly began sorting out the things I needed to prepare for going abroad. While clearing out old belongings, I received a photo from Nicole. She was wearing a white camisole and smiling like a blooming flower, while Oscar lowered his head and kissed her lower abdomen. Emma, I know you saw us at the door of the private room that day, so I won't beat around the bush with you. The child in my belly is Oscar's. We've been together for over a year. Emma, you've helped me so many times. Help me this time too. Give Oscar to me. I quietly looked at the messages appearing one after another on WeChat and could not help sighing. How could someone be this shameless? Everyone in the world knows I exist except you. When he lied to you about working overtime, he was actually with me. You can't give him a child, so I'll give him one. You didn't know, did you? Oscar even took me to meet his mother. His mother treats me like a treasure. Emma, what's so great about you? Aren't you just a few years older than me and lucky enough to meet Oscar when he was a rising star? I'm not worse than you. My hands could not stop trembling. I almost could not hold my phone. Couldn't I give him a child? But I should have had a child. Chapter 7. 3 years ago, Oscar acted on impulse and raced one of our business partners on a mountain road. No matter what I did, I could not stop him. He won. But when he reached the finish line, the car could not slow down and plunged into a lake. That was also a winter day. Without the slightest hesitation, I jumped into the lake and pulled him out. When the ambulance arrived, I was the one placed on the stretcher first. The child in my belly was gone. I had been weak since childhood, and I had also swum in the water for a very long time. The doctor said it would be very difficult for me to have children of my own in the future. At that time, Oscar knelt by my bed and swore to me that he would treat me well for the rest of his life, and that we could live without children. But only a few years had passed. If I had known back then that the man I risked my life to save would become what he was now, I truly would have wished he had died in that freezing lake that winter. Just before tears could spill from my eyes, the door behind me opened. I turned around. Oscar walked in. Emma, I'm back. His smiling gaze landed on my face, then paused. Why are you crying? As he spoke, he pulled me into his arms. One hand stroked over my shoulder, gently comforting me. Tell me what happened. Who made you angry? I'll get justice for you. I closed my eyes and adjusted my breathing. Nothing. I was just watching a TV drama. The female lead couldn't have children, so her husband cheated on her and abandoned her. I spoke slowly. Oscar, I can't have children either. Will you? He hugged me tightly. No. Emma, no. Aren't you taking medicine every day? We'll have a child. I don't want to take medicine anymore. It's too bitter. Then we won't take it. We won't have children. Having you is enough for me. I'm the one who wronged you. Emma, if I hadn't been so reckless back then, none of this would have happened to you. I opened my mouth, and only after a long while did a hoarse voice come out. I was at fault too. I was too stupid. All these years, for the sake of a child, I had turned myself into a medicine jar. All because of that one sentence from him. I like children. Oscar, you also know that my family of origin isn't good, and I can't have children. I'm very afraid that after we get married, you'll stop loving me. I wiped away my tears. So I want a guarantee for myself. Let's sign a prenuptial agreement. Chapter 8. The sound of running water came from the bathroom, and the phone he had left outside kept chiming nonstop. Oscar, I already miss you even though we just parted. Image. I glanced at it, and there was no longer the slightest ripple in my heart. I picked up my own phone and went to the balcony. Counselor, he has already agreed to sign the agreement. Please organize the agreement tomorrow and send it to me. After I go abroad, please help me handle everything. As soon as I finished speaking, the balcony door was pushed open. I quickly hung up and looked up to see Oscar, still damp from his shower. His face was full of confusion. Go abroad? Who's going abroad? My expression remained completely calm. A lawyer. She's helping me draft a contract. He raised an eyebrow, then laughed. You know a lawyer? His tone carried unexpected teasing in his eyes. During these past few years, I had been busy taking care of my health. Where would I have had the occasion or opportunity to get to know a lawyer? This was probably also the reason he felt so confident cheating on me. I spoke flatly. Last year, when I accompanied you to a reception and embarrassed myself, that lawyer was the one who helped me out. He gave a hum and did not ask further. He only pulled me into his arms. If signing an agreement can make you feel secure, I'm very willing. His breath fell beside my ear, and an ambiguous atmosphere flowed through the air. I avoided his lips and pointed at the phone on the table. I heard your phone ringing just now. Someone must have messaged you. It seemed pretty urgent. The hand he was sliding toward the hem of my clothes paused. All right, I'll go check. He opened the balcony door. After a long while, he asked me somewhat nervously, Emma, did you look at my phone just now? I raised my head. My gaze calm. No. Is something wrong? He let out a breath of relief. No, it's just work. Then he smiled. I have to go on a business trip in a few days. I probably won't be back until the day before the wedding. Don't tire yourself out. Rest well. I smiled and nodded in the same way. Chapter 9. The next day. As I wished. I obtained the agreement with Oscar's signature on it. He did not suspect anything at all, because no matter how one looked at it, this was a guaranteed profit agreement. The cash, the real estate purchased under both our names, and the various investments in different places all belonged to me, while the company shares under my name would be transferred to him. He probably thought I must have lost my mind to draft such an agreement. And on the day Oscar left for his business trip, I saw Nicole's Moments post, off to the Maldives. I knew she had posted it for only me to see. Over the next few days, through her moments, I witnessed one romantic moment after another between them. They watched the sunrise together on the island and kissed beneath a sky full of stars. The Maldives trip he and I had once imagined together in that dim basement had already been reached by him first. Only, it was not with me. At this moment, I could no longer feel sadness rise in my heart. I only found it ironic. The boy in my memory who said we would have a beautiful future. The young man who carried me on his back for 3 kilometers in the middle of the night when I was covered in blood. The figure who had stood firmly beside me during the darkest moments of my life. All those past memories I had once cherished were like a dream. I never doubted sincerity. But sincerity changes in an instant. The next day, I found an agent and quickly sold off the real estate under my name. Then I called a moving company and had them take away everything in the house that I had bought. Then donated it all. Finally, I walked into the study and burned the photo album that carried all our memories. The fluttering of my heart when he carried me at 17. The sweetness of our campus romance when I was 20. The courage of accompanying him to start a business at 23. Those past years that had trapped me completely vanished like smoke. Chapter 10. The day before the wedding. Oscar returned home in high spirits. Seeing the empty house, his expression became tense. What happened? Was the house robbed? I had already prepared an answer. The wedding is about to happen, so I threw out all the old furniture and bought new ones. My tone carried just the right amount of complaint. I used your card. You went on a business trip and didn't even call me. After hearing that, he let out a breath of relief. Emma, I'm sorry. I've been too busy these past few days. Don't hold it against me. Then he wrapped his arm around my waist. Buy whatever you want. My money is your money. Changing the furniture to change your mood, you should have done that long ago. I smiled faintly without speaking. Then changed the subject. There will be a lot to do tomorrow. Go to sleep early. He kissed my forehead. As you command, my bride. I held back a wave of disgust. I had once looked forward to our wedding more than anything. Every detail of the wedding, every guest invited, every tiny part of the process, I had thought through all of it countless times. The me from half a month ago would probably never have imagined that. At the wedding I had planned so carefully. I would deliver a fatal blow to the groom. The details I had once cared about, the lighting, the procedures, the wedding dress, at this moment, I had no energy to pay attention to any of them. The only thing I had done right was invite many of the business partners from our startup journey, friends, and even the media. I sat smiling in the dressing room, just beyond the wall and outside the door. Oscar was excitedly exchanging greetings with the guests, while Nicole stood beside him. On my phone, I still had the WeChat message she sent me that morning, full of provocation. At this moment, my heart held only a longing for freedom. Her words could no longer stir even the slightest ripple in me. I said to the lawyer, I'll leave what happens next to you. Don't worry, I've arranged everything. I nodded. Then, when the wedding planner urged me to change clothes, I quietly took the elevator down from the hotel's back entrance. I pulled out my SIM card and threw it into the trash. Then I drove north all the way, heading toward the airport. The northern wind along the road tasted of freedom. I was going to pursue my own life. As for the 2 people who betrayed me, don't get too pleased yet. The lightning meant to strike you is already on its way. Chapter 11. The next time I heard news about Oscar, I was studying and traveling in Europe. The lawyer's voice carried faint excitement. After you disappeared, I followed your instructions and played the evidence of Oscar's affair on the big screen. You have no idea, the media at the scene went crazy. They originally came for the wedding banquet, but they ended up getting massive gossip instead. The glaring summer sunlight made it hard for me to open my eyes, and I could not help laughing. What kind of tone is that? Where's your professional ethics? Hearing you laugh puts me at ease. Looks like you're doing pretty well. I looked at the blue sea and sky before me. I never realized before that the world outside was this wonderful. Hey, there's a piece of gossip I don't know whether I should ask about. Forget it. I'll just ask. On the wedding day, after Oscar saw the photos on the screen, he rushed to the airport in a panic and got hit on the way. His leg was broken. I spoke leisurely. Wasn't that already reported in the domestic news? What are you gossiping about? As if I wouldn't know that. What I want to know is this. After he was hit, his family originally planned to sue the driver, but the driver said something, and Oscar immediately withdrew the lawsuit. You arranged that driver, didn't you? What did he say? In the distance, waves slowly beat against the shoreline like gentle murmurs. My voice was unhurried. I only had him repeat something Oscar once said. That year, in that dim basement, he had once said, I swear, if I ever change my heart, let me be penniless for the rest of my life, lose my legs, and never see you again. People always have to take responsibility for the words they say. Besides, this was only the beginning. Your company is in terrible shape now. The public opinion impact is too severe. There's no hope of going public anymore. Are you sure you don't want to come back and watch the show? You're wrong. That's no longer my company. Besides, I'm not someone who enjoys watching drama. The other end was silent for a long while. There's one more piece of news. Your mother is gravely ill. She wants to see you one last time. The smile on my face instantly froze. I had not expected to return to the country again in such a hurry. In less than a month, I flew back to the city where snow was falling heavily. My mother, whom I had not seen in years, was half lying on the hospital bed, while a caregiver sat by the bed peeling an apple for her. When she saw me return, she was pleasantly surprised. Linda, you're back? She looked very energetic, not at all like someone gravely ill. Before I could speak, she frowned and began scolding me. I heard you ran away from the wedding on the wedding day. How could you be so thoughtless? Not only did you embarrass Oscar, you also let others laugh at you. There was no concern, no heartache, no asking whether I had suffered any grievance. Only blind criticism, as if I were the one at fault. I took a deep breath. Mom, Oscar cheated. He has a child with another woman outside. Her voice stopped abruptly, but after only a moment, even greater dissatisfaction erupted. What man doesn't have a bit of gossip outside? Besides, Oscar is so outstanding. You can't give birth, so he could only look outside. What? Did you expect him to end his family line? It's because I didn't have a son that your father beat me. Emma, a person can't be too selfish. Listen to me. Hurry and apologize to Oscar. He still has feelings for you, so there's still time. I lowered my eyes. My heart had already gone numb. If she had no heir, then what was I? Oscar will come over later. He's willing to give you a way out. Just take it. Don't be so ungrateful. I suddenly looked at her. Was it Oscar who asked you to call me back? She was frightened by my gaze and grabbed my hand, stammering, Mom is doing this for your own good too. A woman still needs to find a man to rely on. Besides, that thing your father did back then, Oscar knows about it. Your reputation wasn't good to begin with. If you don't hold on to him, it will be hard for you to meet someone this good again. I forcefully shook off her hand and turned to walk out. Behind me, she shouted at the top of her lungs, Linda! Chapter 12. Her repeated cries made me remember what happened 10 years ago. That year, I had just finished the college entrance exam, but my father refused to let me attend university. He had accepted a bride price from the pockmarked man in the neighboring village and wanted to marry me off to him. I refused and planned to run away from home. On my last night in that house, the hot summer air seeped in through the drafty windows at midnight. Yet I was incredibly excited. Oscar and I had already agreed to escape together the next day. I was filled with longing for a different life, half asleep and half awake until late into the night. I vaguely heard my mother crying. Then a middle-aged man broke through the window and jumped in. I panicked and tried to run, only to find that the door had already been locked from the outside. My father shouted from outside the door, Linda, this is Mario. The man Dad told you about before. His family is well off. What use is it for a girl to study so much? Studying well isn't as good as marrying well. I jumped out of bed at once, but the space was small, and he quickly caught me. The pockmarked man pressed me down onto the bed, his mouth breathing out a foul stench. Only despair remained in my heart. I struggled desperately, but I was no match for the strength of the man pressing down on me. It was not until the clothes over my chest were torn open that I suddenly remembered the knife under my pillow. The man on top of me let out a scream, and blood splattered onto my face. Then, trembling, I pushed him away. When my father rushed in with the key, the man was rolling on the ground in pain. I stood at the doorway holding the bloodstained knife, my voice calmer than it had ever been. I'm going to university. None of you can stop me. And just like that, I ran out of that house with a knife in my hand, covered in blood. Outside, a torrential rain was falling. Even the rumble of thunder could not drown out my heartbeat. My father chased after me, cursing as he ran, until I met Oscar on the ridge halfway up the hillside, where he had come early to meet me. You shameless little slut. So you'd already hooked up with some wild man. You look down on the rich man I found for you and choose some poor boy instead. Linda, get back here. In front of the person I loved. I felt unbearably humiliated. At that time, Oscar hoisted me onto his back. As he ran, he comforted me. It's all right. I'm here. Don't be afraid. He carried me for a very, very long time, until the heavy rain washed the blood on my clothes into a blurred mess. He nervously set me down and looked me over from head to toe. Where are you hurt? My fingers trembled, and I was utterly panicked. It's not my blood. He let out a breath of relief, then asked with lingering fear, what exactly happened? Why are you covered in blood? At that time, I trusted him completely and poured everything out to him. By the time I finished, he suddenly hugged me, comforted me, and told me not to be afraid, that he would always stay by my side. In his warm embrace, I felt incomparably safe. Then I held back my sobs and said to him, Oscar, I want to change my name. I don't want to be called Linda anymore. He gently patted my back. All right, I'll go with you to the police station. The next day, I secretly returned to the village and stole the household registration booklet. Then I went to the police station. I begged the staff for a very long time, and finally changed Linda to Emma. Oscar said, You're not Linda. You're my Emma. Emma, don't worry. From now on, no one will know your old name. I had once told him my past without the slightest reservation, clinging to that last life-saving straw with the desperate heart of someone gambling everything. But in the end, the heart I had laid bare became the sharp knife he used to stab me. He had not only told Nicole, but also told his friends. The past I could not bear to face had become a topic he and others used to mock me. The more grateful I had once been to him, the more I hated him now. I did not want to see him ever again. Chapter 13. I quickly went downstairs along the long corridor, but at the turn of the hospital stairwell, I still ran into Oscar, who had hurried over on crutches. I turned and left, but he chased after me on his crutches. Emma! People came and went in the hospital, and many were looking over in our direction, until the person behind me fell to the ground and let out a painful groan. I stopped. Then I folded my arms and spoke impatiently. If you have something to say, say it quickly. I'm in a hurry. He lifted his head and looked fixedly at me. It was as if my cold attitude had wounded him. His expression showed a rare sense of helplessness and confusion. I'm sorry, Emma. I know I was wrong. Can you forgive me? I don't want to separate from you. I closed my eyes and felt utterly disgusted. You say you don't want to break up with me, while getting Nicole pregnant outside. And now you want me to forgive you. Do I look that cheap to you? His voice was hoarse. No, Emma. Nicole and I aren't what you think. I don't like her. I just thought she looked a lot like you. That she had your shadow. I found it laughable. Did he think saying that made him sound devoted? I'm not dead yet. What shadow of mine are you looking for in her? Oscar, if you admitted that you changed your heart, I might still think slightly better of you. Acting like this only makes me feel sick. He opened his mouth as if he wanted to say something, but nothing came out. I raised my head. Stop using my mother. I fell for it once. I won't fall for it a second time. After saying that, I turned and left. That day, until very late, My mother kept calling me nonstop. I directly blocked her. Only at this moment did I understand that my mother, who had suffered all her life in that son preference family, had also been my most loyal persecutor. Before I turned 25, I had only seen her hardship and greatness. While ignoring her selfishness and ignorance, I had once made up my mind to give her a good life. And I truly had done it. The year Oscar and I succeeded in starting our business, I brought her to W City and showed her the large house we had bought. But when she saw my success, she was not happy. Inside that house, she looked around carefully, and her expression gradually changed from surprise and disbelief to regret and resentment. I still remembered her tone at that time, filled with endless unwillingness. "Why couldn't you have been a son?" That one sentence shocked me so much I could not speak. At that moment, I knew I had been wrong. I could take her body away from that little village, but spiritually, I could never do it. I knew this was not her fault alone. It had been created by an entire era. I had once empathized with what she had suffered, thanked her for raising me, and done everything I could to give her a stable old age. But at this moment, resentment grew in my heart. I hated that she disregarded my wishes and joined others in deceiving me. I hated that she could not distinguish right from wrong. The two of us could never return to the time before I was 18, when we had depended on each other for survival. Back then, I thought she truly loved me, but now I knew what she loved was not me. It was her invisible son-in-law, the man standing behind me. So from now on, I no longer needed to hold any illusions about her. I would walk a path different from before. I would no longer beg others to love me. It was enough for me to love myself. Chapter 14. The heavy snow grounded all flights, so I had no choice but to find a hotel and stay there. Oscar had been waiting in the hotel lobby the whole time, wearing a hospital gown and sitting there without moving. Everything had gone smoothly for him these past few years. I had not seen him in such a state for a very long time. The hotel staff called me several times to ask whether I wanted to go see him. After all, he was still a patient. But this kind of show of weakness could no longer shake me in the slightest. A patient should be seeing a doctor, not me. Until Oscar's mother knocked on my hotel room door, I could shut everyone else out. But I could not let an elder stand outside in the cold. I let her in and poured her a cup of hot tea. In truth, I did not have much interaction with her. In the early days of our startup, whenever I saw her, she was always smiling. She would hold my hand and say to me, "Emma, with you by Oscar's side, I feel much more at ease. It's Oscar's blessing to have found a girl like you. If he ever treats you badly in the future, tell me, and I'll deal with him for you." At that time, I would blush and nod, happy that I would have such a considerate and open-minded mother-in-law in the future. But later, after my accident, she had also earnestly persuaded me like this: "Emma, it's not that I'm heartless, but Oscar is the only male heir in 3 generations of our family. He can't be without children. You must take care of your health as soon as possible." Whether it was her initial attempts to draw me in and please me, or her later pressure and warnings, she had always been proper and elegant in front of me. But at this moment, she looked very disheveled. Less than a month had passed since the wedding day, yet she had aged a lot. Many white hairs had appeared at her temples. She held my hand, almost begging me, "Emma, people say it takes 100 days to recover from injured bones and tendons. But Oscar has barely eaten or slept this month. His body is already about to collapse. Child, what happened this time was Oscar's fault. He has also learned his lesson. As for Nicole, I've already gone to warn her. I can promise you that Oscar will definitely cut things off with her. After her child is born, we'll bring the baby back for you to raise. You two can still be the same as before. All right?" I pulled my hand free and spoke calmly. "That's impossible, Auntie." Her expression changed, and her tone carried complaint. "Then what else do you want? The company can't go public now, and Oscar has already paid the price for his mistake. Can't you forgive him?" "Forgive him? How am I supposed to forgive him?" I suppressed my emotions. "Auntie, 10 years of love, 1 person dead inside and 1 person wounded. How do you expect me to forgive him? If I forgave him, then my life would be even cheaper. As if I were still the worthless daughter my father had talked about. The bitch who deserved to suffer for a lifetime. A useless person who could never escape rotten people. Unworthy of the name Emma that I had chosen for myself." Oscar's mother froze for a long while. then cried and said, "Emma, even if you aren't willing to forgive Oscar, can you, for my sake, persuade him to go to the hospital? It's still snowing outside. His body can't withstand this kind of abuse anymore." As she spoke, she was about to kneel before me. "Just take it as Auntie begging you." I hated Oscar, and I hated Nicole. I even hated my own parents. But I did not hate Oscar's mother. In some ways, I even envied Oscar a little, because his mother had stood on his side from beginning to end. When Oscar struggled during the startup, she tried every possible way to please me. When I could not have children, she pressured and warned me. When Nicole became pregnant, she cared for her meticulously. And now that her son was injured, she was willing to lower herself and kneel to beg me. She played the good cop and the bad cop by turns, but all she cared about was what was best for her son. Unlike my parents, who could not tell right from wrong and even joined with others to deceive me, I could not bear to accept her kneeling. In the end, I still went downstairs. There were some things that should be made clear. Chapter 15. When Oscar saw me, a trace of wild joy flashed in his cold eyes. Perhaps because my expression was too distant, his smile quickly disappeared, and in the end, he only murmured my name. "Emma, you came." Then he pointed at the leg that was still in a cast. "Emma, this is so good. Even when I'm at my most miserable, you're still here with me. Do you remember? Back when we had just started the company, I came home drunk from business dinners every day, and you would always make hangover soup for me. And during the hardest year of our business, when we went north to sign a contract with a partner, the snow that year was as heavy as it is now. Snow fell all over our hair. Do you still remember what you said?" I finally could not help interrupting him. "Stop talking. Shut up." Of course I remembered what I had said back then. I had said, "Oscar, don't we look like we're growing old together?" But those moments that had once felt happy, when placed beside his later betrayal, felt to me like being cut apart by 1,000 blades. I gave up the chance to go abroad, accompanied him in starting his business, and spent countless quiet, nameless late nights in that damp, dim basement. I listened to him speak again and again about his ideals and ambitions. I accompanied him to one business dinner after another. I stayed with him through his most miserable years. Yet now he had given the most glorious side of himself to someone else. So when he brought up the past, it could not move me in the slightest. It only made me feel even more disgusted and humiliated. I looked at him numbly. "Oscar, you gave me your most miserable years, but gave Nicole your most glorious years. What right do you have to mention the past in front of me? The reason I was willing to come downstairs and see you today is definitely not because I still have feelings for you. I simply pity your mother, an old woman almost 60 years old who still has to worry about a son who is nearly 30. You betrayed me, and I took revenge on you. After I send you to the hospital, we owe each other nothing." He was silent the entire way to the hospital. Only when he was lying in the hospital bed did he tug at my sleeve. The sky outside was gray and dim, and the light was gloomy. I heard a sobbing apology behind me. "Emma, I'm sorry." I shook off his hand, let out a soft scoff, and left. Outside the ward, Nicole was waiting for me with her pregnant belly. She looked haggard, but her tone carried satisfaction. "Emma, no matter what, I won this time." I stopped walking. "Yes, you won." I chewed a few mouthfuls of leftovers, couldn't swallow them, and spat them out for you. Luckily, you held out your bowl in time. Also, a man with a broken leg who betrayed his heart, plus a company sinking toward its end. I really don't know what you won. She looked as if something were stuck in her throat, then said, "Don't get smug. So what if you used tricks to take all the money? As long as Oscar recovers, he'll definitely make a comeback. Then I wish you can wait until that day. There is no need to argue with petty people. Time will prove everything." Chapter 16. On the day I left, the heavy snow stopped. My advisor, whom I had not seen in 6 years, sat in a wheelchair and looked at me, while his wife stood behind him with a smile. He smiled and said, "I heard your flight is today, so we came to see you off." I had not cried when I found out Oscar had cheated. I had not cried when I heard my mother's twisted reasoning either. But that simple sentence, "We came to see you off," made my tears impossible to stop. His wife looked nervous and asked with concern, "Why are you crying?" I was too choked up to speak, But my teacher smiled. Winter has passed. The spring breeze always carries a trace of warmth that stings the eyes and makes people unable to help tearing up. I nodded through my sobs. Yes. Teacher is right. Winter has passed. We found a cafe and sat down. He spoke calmly. The words I said to you the year you graduated, I thought about them for a long time afterward and still felt they were inappropriate. I never had the chance to apologize to you. I quickly shook my head. Teacher, you weren't wrong. I was the one who didn't understand things back then. That year, there were very few spots in our department to study abroad, and I was one of them. But in order to support Oscar's business, I gave it up. Back then, my teacher had nearly fallen ill from anger and been hospitalized. He said, there are only so many opportunities in a person's life, and only so many resources. If you don't want them, plenty of others will fight for them. 10 years from now, when you look back, don't come looking for me if you regret it. It had not even been 10 years since that argument, yet I had long since regretted it. I had also been too ashamed to see him. His wife spoke gently. When your teacher saw the news, he blamed himself for jinxing it and making his words come true. The older he gets, the more superstitious he becomes. I held the warm coffee in my hands, and warmth rose in my heart too. My teacher looked a little embarrassed and cleared his throat softly. I heard you've been studying and traveling in Europe while applying to schools. I'm very glad that you still want to continue your education. As he spoke, he handed me an envelope. There isn't much else teacher can do to help you. This is a recommendation letter I wrote to the dean of the UCL Bartlett School of Architecture. Go pursue your studies with peace of mind. I accepted the envelope he handed me with great care. Life is long. Every experience is a challenge given to you by heaven. The pain and misfortune of the past are merely the growing pains of becoming stronger. Though they may feel like having your bones scraped and tendons pulled, they can also make sure that nothing in the future will ever defeat you again. You're still young. It's not too late to start over. Yes. I was grateful that everything was still on time. I still had time to restart a different life. The plane cut across the sky, and the snow in the distance had already begun to gradually disappear. I once thought the ice and snow left behind by the deep winter would remain frozen for years, but I never expected that when the spring breeze blew, flowers would suddenly bloom all over the ground. Just like my life, after the ice and snow melted, there was a new spring. Oscar Extra, Chapter 1. When I first met Emma, she was still very young and inexperienced. She was beautiful, with a cold, stubborn quality about her. Even though she wore the most ordinary school uniform, she had a unique aura. She always came and went alone. Her hair was combed neatly, and her back was always straight, like the kind of art student carefully raised by a wealthy family. But that impression collapsed on its own when I learned that her name was Linda. After leaving that remote town, every friend I met later said I was lucky, that I had picked that aloof, untouchable flower early. I deeply agreed with that. Meeting Emma was indeed the greatest luck of my life. She gave up the chance to study abroad on a government-funded scholarship for me and accompanied me to start a business in Beijing. The early stage of starting a business was very difficult. Cash flow was tight, and she lived with me in a basement that never saw the sun. Even when the two of us shared one bowl of shredded chicken noodles, she never complained. Looking back later, those were also the happiest days of my life. On the contrary, after the business succeeded, the people around me were all trying to flatter me. Every day was the company, drinking parties, and going home. Life repeated itself day after day. Boring and suffocating. Partners, friends, and even rival companies began sending all kinds of women to me, but I held the line and rejected them all, until Nicole appeared. She was Emma's junior, a poor student our foundation had long sponsored. She was timid and cowardly. She never completed the tasks given to her well, and her eyes would redden at the slightest thing. She was nothing like Emma. Emma handled things cleanly and efficiently. No matter the person or matter, she could arrange everything in perfect order. I found Nicole irritating, but it was precisely someone like that who dared to stand in front of my group of friends at a drinking party and help me block drinks. Maybe the atmosphere had reached that point that day. Nicole's intention to throw herself at me was too obvious. And on top of that, someone egged me on with one sentence. Oscar, with your status and position, wouldn't it be too much of a loss to sleep with only one woman in this lifetime? My mind wandered all at once. As if possessed, I thought, I'll just take a brief look and come back. I had never thought Nicole and I would have a future. The only person I wanted to spend the rest of my life with was Emma. I thought I could control the boundaries well, but I never expected there would be a child. Nicole hid it from me and took matters into her own hands by telling my mother. After Emma's accident, the doctor had said her chances of getting pregnant were already very small. That made my mother even more unwilling to let Nicole abort the child. So I became just like every man who cheats, believing that as long as I hid it well, Emma would never know for the rest of her life. Later, I even fell in love with that life of moving between both sides. It was thrilling and exciting. At one drinking party, Sam asked me meaningfully, "Oscar, you and Emma were the golden couple everyone at our university recognized. It's only been a few years, and now you're already holding your little secretary. Aren't you afraid Emma will find out and break up with you in anger?" That possibility frightened me. I instinctively retorted, "Impossible. Emma's family of origin is bad, and she lacks love. Other than me, no one in this world loves her." The private room was full of our university classmates, and everyone's curiosity was instantly stirred up. "Really? Tell us." Back in university, Emma was always so mysterious. No one knew what her family was like. As if to prove my claim that she lacked love, under the influence of alcohol, I blurted everything out in one breath. It was as if belittling her and making her past sound terrible enough could prove that she would never leave me. Nicole was leaning in my arms at the time and asked in a coquettish voice, "Oscar, since Emma is so bad, why don't you just marry me instead and give the child in my belly a legitimate identity?" I was furious at the time. I grabbed her neck and warned her viciously, "What do you think you are? You'd better behave. If Emma finds out, I won't spare you." I squeezed very hard, as if by gripping her throat, I could make her keep her mouth shut. But in this world, walls always have cracks. When I noticed that something was wrong with Emma's state, I had no other choice but to deceive myself. Countless times, I hinted to myself that she would not know, that I was definitely overthinking it. Later, it even turned into this: even if Emma did know, she would not do anything. We were already preparing for the wedding, so she would not give me up. Until I saw those photos on the big screen at the wedding, my heartbeat almost stopped. I instinctively rushed toward the airport, but Emma had already arranged for someone to wait on the road to the airport. She was the person who understood me best in this world. At the hospital, that driver only mechanically repeated the words I had once said. In that instant, a fierce pain surged through my heart. Chapter 2. After that, my career was almost destroyed. Because of public opinion, the company's listing was suspended, while my competitor seized the opportunity and successfully went public one step ahead of us. The company's situation instantly took a sharp turn for the worse. There was no way to save it. All we could do was wait to be acquired. The brothers who used to surround me all left one after another. I had long known how cold the world could be, but I never expected that the person coming to acquire the company would actually be Sam. He said he would give me a friendship price, and in the end, I signed that agreement. Not long after I signed it, someone sent me a video recording on a sunny afternoon. A familiar private room, a familiar group of people, a familiar round of bragging and gossip. Only this time, the main character in the video had become Sam. Someone asked him, "Sam, be honest with us. Did you have your eye on acquiring Oscar's company long ago? You were the first one who encouraged Oscar to take Nicole, weren't you?" Sam lit a cigarette. "Can I force someone to cheat? He has to have that idea himself." What? Could I pin his hips down and thrust in and out for him until she got pregnant? Come on. Fooling your brothers is one thing, but don't fool yourself too. You clearly wanted to vent anger on Emma's behalf. What acquisition? You were just jealous, envious, and emotionally wrecked because your goddess was getting married, and the other guy didn't even cherish her. So you got angry and carried out justice on behalf of heaven. The private room instantly erupted. Damn, Emma is your goddess? Sam spoke lazily. That was ancient history from who knows how many years ago. Don't fucking talk nonsense. My acquisition was purely business. Oh, purely business. If it was purely business, why did you go through so much trouble to leak the news to her? You bribed Oscar's driver, didn't you? That snowy night 2 months ago, you were the one who led her outside this private room, and you called Nicole in advance to come over, letting Emma watch that whole wonderful show at the door. Damn, There was something like that? Sam is ruthless. Sam, they've broken up now. If you still have feelings, you can go after her. The hand Sam used to hold the cigarette paused. Then he kicked the person. What the fuck are you saying? I'm married. Do you think I'm that heartless bastard, Oscar? Abandoning the wife who struggled with him? After kicking him, he lifted his head slightly and then said, some birds should soar in the sky. They shouldn't be trapped in cages. What bird? Can you just say it directly? I don't understand. Get lost. You illiterate. Hey, I get it. Sam, are you saying that you like her, but you don't want to pluck her down? You only hope she can keep doing what she wants and carve out her own world. Is that what you mean? You write novels or something? Why make it so pure? You think I'm some innocent 18-year-old boy? As he spoke, he picked up the wine glass on the table. Come on, drink. Looking at the group of people in the video, tears somehow fell from my eyes. I realized I could not hate anyone. I could only hate myself. In the end, I could only lower my eyes and mock myself. You deserved it. You deserved it. The sunset outside the window was dazzlingly beautiful, but my heart was nothing but wasteland. Chapter 3. 6 years after bankruptcy. My mother and I saw Emma again at a hospital in the city center. She had become much more beautiful. Her slightly curled hair fell behind her ears. A faint smile hung on her face, and she was holding a little girl's hand while gently coaxing her. The little girl looked like a doll, pouting as she said something. The reunion came so suddenly that I was completely caught off guard. I opened my mouth, and in the end, still called out the name I had repeated in my heart for years. Emma! When she heard the voice, she turned around. A bit of surprise appeared on her face, but her expression remained very natural. What a coincidence. Are you also bringing a child to the hospital? My son was very afraid of strangers and buried his face in my mother's arms, refusing to lift his head. The little girl she was holding was very lively and asked in a bright, delicate voice, Mommy, what's wrong with Big Brother? My heart trembled, and I asked with some bitterness, is this your daughter? She smiled. Yes, there's an architecture forum being held in the country, and it happens to be teacher's birthday this year, so I brought my child back for a few days, but she couldn't adapt to the temperature and caught a cold. My mother seemed unwilling to accept it and asked, is this child adopted? Emma shook her head and answered openly, she isn't adopted. I got married, and she was conceived naturally. My mother's expression froze for a moment, then her face turned pale as she said, this child is so beautiful. She looks very clever. The little girl heard that she was being praised and lifted her neck. That's because I'm mixed race. My daddy said mixed race kids are pretty and smart. Look, I don't even need anyone to carry me. Unlike Big Brother, who still needs this grandma to hold him. Emma's whole face glowed with maternal warmth as she corrected her. Big Brother is sick. You're not allowed to talk nonsense. Her words were a scolding, but her tone was full of affection. She looked at me, then at my mother, and asked, why don't I see the child's mother? I opened my mouth, not knowing how to answer. My mother's face was full of bitterness as she murmured, Nicole had a severe hemorrhage during childbirth. They couldn't save her. Emma froze for a moment. In the end, she only said, my condolences. We exchanged pleasantries for a while, then politely said goodbye. Only later did I learn that she had gone abroad and fulfilled the dream she had had in university, becoming an architectural designer. The child's father was someone she met through work, and she became pregnant in the 2nd year after they married. After leaving the hospital, my mother could no longer control her emotions. Tears fell as she cried, this is karma. This is karma. I could not hold back either. My heart hurt terribly. The child in my arms stared blankly ahead, his eyes unmoving. He had been diagnosed with autism at the age of 2 and could not sense the emotions of adults at all. I closed my eyes. This was all my retribution, and the Emma I had once possessed, after leaving me, had shone with an even more dazzling light. It turned out that those who betray sincerity really do have to swallow 10,000 needles.